Good morning, Fiachra and Carmel, and delighted that you're in here, giving your evidence to us. I think, as the chairperson says, you are an inspiration to many people out there, many young people and their parents who feel, that it's a constant battle to get the resources and supports that they need. I just have a couple of questions, but first of all, I say for any child to be made feel stupid is absolutely outrageous. And I come from an educational background and I feel strongly about that. But I also know from my background as well how difficult it is sometimes to get assistive technology for students. And it's often not the school, it's the school that's looking for it. It's frequently, I find, that the CNO denies and says that there are sufficient resources in the school, or, that they should get it elsewhere. And I feel if the principal and the teachers in the school feel this child needs this and it's going to assist them, that they should be given it. So my two questions, I suppose, are, first of all, how was Fiachra assessed? I mean, if you're saying most of the assessments are verbally based, and I'm just wondering how children who are non-verbal, and there are many, are actually properly assessed, because it's just something that struck me. How do you assess someone properly like that? And you say parents are asking the Department of Education to establish a pilot scheme, so I'm just wondering what sort of response you're getting to that. Are you getting positive vibes from the department that they will consider doing something like this? Thank you.
Just sorry, the first question with regard to how children are assessed if they're non-verbal.
Yeah, because you're saying
they are assessed on what would be predominantly a verbal test, and then the psychologist might leave out parts of it, and maybe just use part of the test that might have maybe materials that you can manipulate or something. The instructions would be verbal, and the child, may not understand what's being asked of them. They're being asked to respond to a series of questions or point to a series of pictures or match things. They may not understand what the question is. They may not have they certainly wouldn't have the verbal skills to say this goes with this and this matches with this. So you're relying maybe on pointing or looking at something. So, you're not getting an accurate picture of what the child can do. And there doesn't seem to be any appetite for developing or looking at other methods of assessing children. This is what we use. This is what Fiachra is going to have to do. If he can't do it, then his assessment will say that he doesn't have the intelligence for that test. And that would have been, Fiachra's experience at 4 years of age. And that assessment would have gone the whole way up through the school with him until he was assessed in 5th and 6th class by a NEPS psychologist, and he was able to use his letterboard. Okay. And he was able to answer most of the questions on the test. Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, talking to the manager of the local CNDT, she said there's a huge number of children with suspected autism waiting to be assessed. So, I mean, many of them will be non-verbal. Yes. And they need to change the methods of assessment, because, autistic children are very intelligent young people, and they just need the support to be the best version of themselves, to be able to progress. So the Department of Education then are they giving you any? Just with regard to assessments as well, there are with technology, and I mean that's what we're talking about this morning, with assistive technology, there are new methods of assessing children. And during the summer, Fiachra and 5 other students in Ireland took part in a Cambridge University research study, which used brain imaging. Okay. So it was assessing non-verbal children's understanding of language using brain imagery and computer technology. So there were a series of tests that the children were given, and they had a monitor, as you would have like for an MRI scan. They had a skull cap with all of the electrodes, and that measured the brain's response to the different questions. So when there was, maybe they read out a sentence. One of the sentences, I think, was, Mary blew out the birthday candles on the door instead of cake. So the child's brain then responded to the, that doesn't make sense. And that was printed out then on the screen. So that research is ongoing and will be continued next year as well. So as I say, there are, if we could invest in it, there are ways of measuring children's intelligence and children's responses without going back to tests that were developed in the 1960s.
Mm-hmm. And that is that available here too, and is it available to a large number of children? Or is it
well,
just
that is a study that's been conducted in
okay.
Cambridge University, so I'm not aware of it being available here.
Okay, yeah. So something that,
but it's something that we could look into.
Yeah, absolutely.
With regard to the Department of Education and RPM, because RPM is not a fully researched method because it's quite new, it's only about 10 years. The department's response would typically be that it's not research and it's not evidence-based, and until more research is done into it, they wouldn't be in a position to support it in schools. That would be their position. Sorry, I thought of something else there now. Yeah, so that's kind of the position. But I know that some schools are trying it and are having very good results with it. There are, I think, in Longford, there's a school in Longford, there's some schools in Wexford, we have some schools in Mayo as well, who are just using it as a complementary method along with other methods in the school, just to see how, and they've had great success with it.
That's good to hear. Yeah. Okay, thanks very much. Thank you, Darla.